In this video, we will cover differentiating between system and component families and editing system and component families. In this project, several elements have been placed. It's important that you understand whether an element is a system family or a component family. Another way to refer to component families is loadable families. They are defined in an external family file with a .rfa file extension and then loaded into the project. System families are defined within the Revit project. On the MEP side, system families are typically conduit and cable trays and duct and piping. There are several more, but those are the main ones that you need to be aware of. When I select a cable tray, I can then click Edit Type to open the Type Properties dialog. I can then use any of these parameters in the Type Properties dialog to control this family type. I can click Duplicate and create a new type as needed. I'll click Cancel to close the dialog and then select a cable tray fitting. When I select the fitting, you can then see Edit Family on the contextual ribbon. When you see Edit Family, you know that that element belongs to a loadable family, because you can then edit it in the Family Editor. When I select some of the other components, you can see that Edit Family is available. These are all loadable family components. I'll select a light fixture and then expand the type selector. You can see several types, specifically 6 types that are available. And if I click Edit Type, I can adjust any of the type parameters to control this family type. I'll click Cancel, and then I'll click Edit Family to open this lighting fixture family in the Family Editor. As you can see, this is a .rfa file, and the tools that are available are completely different than those in the project. There are tools for creating geometry and adding connectors, and also adding parameters that will define this family. When I click Family Types, I can then expand the Type Name dropdown and see those same 6 family types that were available in the project. I'll click Cancel and then switch back to the project. When I select the lighting fixture and click Edit Type, I can also create new types right here in the project. For example, I'll click Duplicate, and then we'll name this type 2x2-120 and click OK. Then I will adjust the length to 2 feet so that it's 2 feet by 2 feet, and then I'll click OK. When I do, the lighting fixture updates, and when I expand the type selector, you can see the new type that I created. I'll select 2x4-277 and then click Edit Type and click Duplicate again. We will create a 2x2 type that's 277 volt as well, and then I'll click OK. Now when I expand the type selector, I have 8 types. I will now switch back to the family file and go to the Family Types dialog. And when I expand the Type Name dropdown, you can see that there are still just the 6 types. And so this can be somewhat confusing, and it's something that needs to be managed properly when you're working with loadable families. When you create a family and then load it into the project, you essentially have 2 versions. Because while it's a loadable family and defined in an external family file, when you load it into the project, it is then saved as part of the project. And so you can edit that family in the project just like we did, and it doesn't affect the RFA family file. And so that's something important that you need to be aware of. I'll click Cancel, and then I will close this family file, and then I'll select the one in the project, the one that has 8 types, and then click Edit Family. Now I'll click Family Types and expand the Type Name dropdown, and now you can see all 8 family types. And so once again, you can see that this is something that needs to be managed properly. And as far as when you edit a family in a project, are you also then opening it and saving it in an external family file, or are you just going to manage it all within a project? And so that's something that you need to be aware of and have a plan for. I'll select the 2x2-120 type that we modified, and you can see several parameters here, and I can update any of these parameters as needed. Now I will change the default elevation to 3 feet, and then I will also change the tilt angle. Let's change this to -80 degrees, and then I'll click OK. And now, since I've made changes, I want to load that back into the project, and I'll click Load into Project, and when I do, I get a Family Already Exists dialog. There are 2 options here. I can overwrite the existing version, or I can overwrite the existing version and its parameter values. So if I just click Overwrite the existing version, I would override any geometry changes or if I added any parameters, but the parameters that I updated would not change. In order to do that, I would need to select the second option, overwrite the existing version and its parameter values. However, you have to be careful with this because, as you can see here, it's going to overwrite parameter values. And so I'll select that option and then we can take a look. So I select this and click Edit Type. You can see that the default elevation is still 4 feet, and actually that's because I have the wrong type selected here. Okay, if I switch to the 2x2-120 type, you can see that the default elevation is now 3 feet, and my tilt angle is -80 degrees. And then that happened because I overrode the family and the parameter values. And so you want to be careful when you're doing that, because if you had customized a lot of these parameters in the project, and then you would override them here in your type properties dialog. So you have to be aware of what's going on there, and you have to have a plan for managing these family types. So just to summarize, system families are controlled right here in the Revit project, whereas loadable families, they can also be controlled in the project, but they are actually defined in an external family file with a .rfa file extension.